Doing this dodge around thing is really helpful. Doing a peek like this, dropping out. And with that double jump, you can actually double jump and go upwards as well, like this, to get to a new elevation. Getting used to this dodging mechanic, not in bullet time, but like doing this sort of thing at medium range, pretty busted, but it is a lot of fun to do to people to do that sort of thing because it's just so hard to deal with. What's going on, everybody? Toby1 Shinobi here, and today we are hitting you with the ultimate guide for the Killswitch Revolvers. Now, I'm honestly hesitant to make this guide because dang, there's some powerful stuff in here and I really don't want sweats using it against me, but they're gonna figure it out eventually, and I want to share it with everybody. So if you can appreciate that, go ahead and drop a like on the video right now because this is going to be a crazy guide, and honestly, this stuff is probably going to get patched because it seems like it's a little too broken. We'll see. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, let's get into the fundamentals of the Killswitch Revolvers before we get to the advanced nasty tricks. So first of all, these guns have a 4-second hang time that allows you to go into slow motion at any point. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is honestly crazy because they also have perfect accuracy when you're in the air. And yes, they can 2-tap opponents with a blue rarity. These guys have 250 health. If you hit 2 headshots, game over. It's crazy. The damage with these things is insane, and with perfect accuracy, it is possible if you catch someone standing still. Now, one tricky thing about these guns is that you have to lead your shots because there's a slight delay between shooting your left and your right revolver, so you do have to track your enemies pretty well, and that can be kind of difficult when they're moving pretty quick like this because most of the time you're only going to get 1 bullet on a fast-moving target unless you have really good tracking. And on top of that, they have a fairly small magazine with 6 total trigger pulls and 12 total bullets. But if you get the Acrobat Boon that reloads your weapon when you do parkour, anytime you dodge, it's considered parkour. So if you hit A tier or S tier superhero ranks, you're basically reloading just as fast as you're shooting with these guns, and all you have to do is keep dodging around to reload, which is insane and a lot of fun. Now let's just go over some basic bullet time rules. You can enter bullet time and then exit it, and then enter it, and exit it, and that whole 5-second timer is just gonna basically be on pause when you do it. Pretty crazy what you can do with this, because that means you can shockwave like this, and stutter fall like that, which we'll get into soon. Now, you can dive or jump in any direction. If you just hit the jump button once, you're gonna enter this kind of bullet time where you're just up in the air a little bit. If you press it twice, you're gonna go into like a larger jump, right? Now, if you move your WASD or your analog stick in any direction and double jump, you're gonna enter these dodges like this. You can go forward, you can go back, and you can go side to side. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that you can do a single jump bullet time and then follow it by a dash bullet time. So you just press the single jump, go into bullet time, and then do a double jump, press it in any direction, and you're gonna go into a dash, which is amazing for short range combat and dueling. You basically enter a fight like this, and then you dash out and then hit again. And it's very, very effective because your enemy starts aiming down sights at you and they're like, oh, easy target, and then you dash again, you're a much harder target, you're sideways, you know, it's really, really effective. And with that double jump, you can actually double jump and go upwards as well like this to get to a new elevation. So if somebody lines up a headshot and they kind of have that horizontal plane lined up or they feel like they just have to track you left and right, you can change that up and just go like this and go to a new height and make it pretty dang hard for them. So basically what I recommend for these short range fights, when you start the fight, try to enter this just a single jump and then follow it up by a double jump, because it does make it pretty dang hard to track you, and these things hit so hard that all you really need is your opponent to miss for half of a second and then they die. Now, another thing a lot of people don't realize about these revolvers is that you don't have to enter bullet time to do the dashes like this. You just go like this, you just press left and right, and you're dashing back and forth, and you're still able to do really good damage hip fire with these things. It's not perfect accuracy, it's a little bit harder to hit because you're, you know, throwing off your own aim a little bit with movement, but you are a lot harder to hit. Now let's cover dash canceling, because dash canceling is also very similar to this, where you just press this, you know, dodge button without going into bullet time. Now all you have to do is press the dodge button and then pull out a different weapon. Looks like that. So you enter this little state, and you kind of get this little sideways dash. Doesn't have as much velocity as, say, like a Grim Gate dash or the dashes from the orange sprites, but it's still really nice because it's just inherent. You can just carry these pistols and dash like this all the time, which can be really useful for coming out from behind cover and taking a shotgun shot at somebody. You know, let's just pretend like we're, you know, on a right shoulder peek here, somebody's pushing us, we go like this, and we come out around the corner like that, and they totally whiff their shotgun shot because we just come out with some velocity unexpectedly. Now, you could just keep the revolvers out, but they do have a little bit of a weird delay on those shots, and it's a little harder to hit. So sometimes using a shotgun at close range and doing this dodge around thing is really helpful, and it just makes you very hard to hit. You know, it's like someone's in a close range fight doing that to you. It's just like, what is going on, man? You know, there's also desync in the game, there's ping issues, so like yeah, it's just crazy when people are doing this sort of thing. Oh, and one big thing to mention about the basic dashing, the bullet time rules, is anytime that you enter this state right here where you're not diving or anything like that, you will not take fall damage no matter what height you come off of. So if I just jump off this, right, and I go like this, and my bullet time, you know, runs out, you won't take any fall damage. But if you do the exact same thing, come off of height, and you enter bullet time like this, boom, 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 and then you do a dive and then enter bullet time like this, you are now dead. You're gonna take fall damage upon hitting the ground because you did a dive. So anytime you do a dive, you can take fall damage. Now, one counter to this is to save yourself a little bit of bullet time, because the bullet time mechanic actually resets fall damage every time you enter it. So that it resets that fall damage height. So if you were to jump off here, right, and do this and then go into a dive, I'm gonna take fall damage, but if I reset and hit right there, then I'm only taking fall damage from like 5 meters, so I'm not gonna take any fall damage at all. So you gotta be really careful about doing this diving move when you're jumping off of cliffs or anything like that. Now, if you combine it with a shockwave, you're never gonna have that issue because you're gonna have the low grab effect, so you're not gonna take fall damage on your drop. So if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna jump off a cliff, and you know, you're coming off a cliff, just don't enter the dive in most cases until you get close to the ground. And if you do enter the dive at high ground, make sure to save a little bit of that bullet time and then hit bullet time right before touching the ground. All right, now let's get into some more advanced tips and tricks here that, again, I'm probably going to regret sharing with you because these are very powerful and they're going to be very annoying when they're used against you. Check this out. This is what I call the stutter fall. Stutter falling is broken because, one, you can camera break your enemy with these Killswitch Revolvers. And what I mean by camera break is you just go over someone's head like this and you get above them and they can't find you to begin with. Like, you're above them, you're moving fast, and they're like, oh, where is he? And by the time they look up to find you, they're probably dead because these things do so much damage. Now, if somebody does find you in the air, it's really no problem, because if you add some lateral speed to that, if you get into the air with some speed like this, you can do what is called stutter falling, or what I'm calling stutter falling, which is this slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up. And if someone's moving laterally and vertically at the same time, it's very hard to track that movement because they're like going slow and you're like, okay, I got my reticle on them, and then they go fast, and then you're like, I gotta catch up, and then they go, and then as soon as you catch up to try to hit them again, they go fast again. It's like, it's impossible to deal with, and it's pretty busted, but it is a lot of fun to do to people, to do that sort of thing, because it's just so hard to deal with. Now, in most cases, you don't really need to do that. You can just get above someone's head and just stay in bullet time, because by the time they find you, they're probably gonna die. These things do so much damage. Most of the time you get above someone's head in the air, they just start running around like a chicken with their head cut off, looking for you, and by the time they find you, they just die, or they just shockwave out, or something like that. So my biggest tip for using these revolvers, if you wanna make fights super easy, is to use shockwave grenades. The gauntlets, the base boost gauntlets, work perfectly fine as well, but you're a lot easier to track because of the audio that comes out of these things. People can hear you coming and getting into the air, that sort of thing, and you don't have as much velocity as a shockwave. So if you're doing this sort of thing, people kind of know where you are, they can hear it going off, they can hear you getting height, and you don't go as high with a single bounce, so you kind of have to use two to get that height to get off of somebody's screen. Because if you just use one like this, you're gonna kind of be in this person's screen, and it's gonna be a lot easier for them to hit you. So it's a lot better to do something like this, where you get above them like this, you're a lot higher, and then you fall down, and they have to track that really fast vertical movement, and it's a problem. So that's why shockwaves are actually better, because you get higher, faster, you get more speed, and it's actually a lot more quiet as well. So you can shockwave like from out here, and this player right here probably wouldn't even hear me. And then if they did, I just do that stutter falling thing, and it's incredibly hard to deal with. All right, now let's show you some more broken things about these revolvers. The movement speed on them when you're dodging around like this, not in bullet time, is the exact same speed as just sprinting around. But look at this, you're a lot harder to hit. And once you run out of stamina, you kind of do these smaller dodges as well. But this is still great for dodging around. Like if you run out of stamina in a normal fight like this, you're pretty much dead, right? Like if somebody's shooting at you from afar and you're doing this without stamina, it's like you're the easiest target in the world. But if you pull out the Killswitch Revolvers and you run out of stamina, say we're out of stamina here, right? And this guy starts shooting at us and we start doing this and we're actually applying pressure back. It's like way harder to deal with, right? Than somebody jumping around with a shotgun. And plus the shotguns this season are so mediocre at medium range, right? At like 10 meters out, like I can hit this guy for maybe 40 damage or something from this range right here, 60 damage, right? If I get a perfect shot. In most cases, you're just not going to get that. The shotguns are pretty disappointing, but a single shot to the chest with the revolvers is 40 damage, right? So the revolvers are kind of equivalent to a shotgun at medium range, and you can be a lot harder to hit like that, right? When you're just dodging around. So I do highly recommend getting used to this dodging mechanic, not in bullet time, but like doing this sort of thing at medium range, because it's going to be more effective in most cases than a shotgun, and you're going to be really hard to hit. Even when you're out of stamina like this, it's like, it's very difficult for people to track you. Now, granted, you will probably you run out of ammo unless you've got the Acrobat perk, which is reloading your weapons every time you do that dodge, which again is absolutely insane. So having the Acrobat perk is really important, and you can get that from shrines with the orange sprite by turning in shockwaves. You also get the Acrobat Boon every single time, which is amazing. So yeah, this is something that I'd recommend getting used to. It's probably going to become a thing that everyone's doing unless they patch it and you can't do this kind of movement anymore, which would be pretty sad because it is a lot of fun. But the fights are going to get crazy, you know, when we see people just running around doing this the whole time, you know, with the Acrobat perk and just constantly shooting. I just can't imagine this is going to stay in the game, because I feel like the sweats are really going to ruin the game for a lot of people. Just people won't be able to touch them in fights. So yeah, there's that. If you're enjoying the content, you feel like you're learning a lot, and you're like, dang, I did not know this stuff, go ahead and hit the like button, because again, I was very hesitant to share this information. And yeah, I feel like everybody should know about this stuff, because when people use it against you, you're gonna be like, what the heck, what's going on here? And once everybody knows about it, you know, it's kind of more of a level playing field, and it might actually get patched, because honestly, yeah, it's just kind of broken. Now, I just want to say that one thing is definitely going to get you killed using these guns, and that is just hovering in the air and using bullet time like this in a 50-50 fight. If you're in a 50-50 fight with somebody at like this range and they've got the Spire AR, the Spire AR does incredible damage per second, and you are going to lose that fight if you're just static, completely static, because they're going to start shaking your screen, and it's going to make it extremely hard to fight back. So when you do this sort of thing, you got to be really careful about it. And if you're going to do it, you really want to enter that first dash and then followed by a second dash and be a little more elusive or evasive, right? So don't just stand there and do this sort of thing, because somebody from afar that you're not even looking at is going to melt you, or the player that you're fighting is going to melt you, because they're going to start shaking your camera and you're really not going to be able to hit your target. And they're going to be moving around. You're actually moving a little bit and throwing off your own aim, and your camera's being shaken, so it's just going to be a much harder fight. So in most cases, when you use these guns, you want to be off somebody's screen. You don't want to be taking a 50-50 fight where they're staring at you, unless you're using like smart cover, such as like something like this, where you're doing these little peeks like this, right? And then dropping out, doing a peek like this, dropping out, peek like this, dropping out. And then it's really hard to deal with, because you have perfect accuracy. All they can hit is your head, and you can drop at any moment and make it very hard for them to hit you. So yeah, these are very, very, very effective for head glitching, for coming out of cover like this and then going back into cover like that. Yeah, so try to use these with cover, or try to use them with a lot of velocity like this. because that is really what's most effective, and it's a lot harder for people to hit you that way, and that's where you get the most value out of them. So overall, the Killswitch Revolvers are a ton of fun. They're also a little busted, and if you want to learn how to use these things, I recommend going to my Zero Build Mastery map code above, visiting this area called Aim Island, picking up the Killswitch Revolvers over here, and maybe a Sentinel shotgun and the base boost gloves, maybe shockwaves, that sort of thing, and then playing around with the stuff in the area called combat movement against bots over here. So if you go over here, this is a really good way to feel kind of a little bit of pressure and be able to practice that movement against moving targets who are actually shooting at you, so you can get a feel for how to use these things in combat. Now granted, these guys aren't going to hit every single shot on you, but they are going to put a little bit of pressure on you and just give you the feeling of what it might be like to use these things in game, and what you can really get away with in terms of juking people and that sort of thing. So yeah, Aim Island, and then combat movement versus bots is a really good way to practice. Now, if you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, go ahead and hit that like button for me. Consider using code TobyWanShinobi in your Fortnite item shop if you want to support me and my family of 4. And if you want to take your gameplay to the next level, consider joining the Shinobi Clan as a member. Master level members get 2 days a week of personal training with myself and other masters. And if a membership's not for you, you can always use the Zero Build Mastery course to improve your skills and watch my must-watch playlist for Fortnite Zero Build on my YouTube channel. That is a curated playlist of stuff that is really going to help you improve fundamentals, and it's always going to be relevant. It's a video playlist of holistic guides that are guaranteed to help you. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day. Shinobi out.